hello love, welcome back or welcome to What I Am Singing. In today's video, I have two intentions. I want to share just a few things that are on my heart, kind of do an end of the year review, kind of assessment, evaluation of the channel and where we're headed into the new year. And also to share an exercise that I did with you back in the beginning of 2024, which was the Sankalpa, or the word of the year exercise that I do. And I will share that with you at the end if you feel. We'll kind of go in more into that, what that is, how that works, and why. I wanted to pull a card from this Own Your Awesome deck, just like little affirmations. So what is the message for the collective today from the Own Your Awesome affirmation card deck? What do we need to hear, see, know, and remember in this moment? I release all judgments of myself and others. Judging is not loving. I release all judgment of myself and of others. Judging is not loving. I think that's perfect. More love, more grace, more compassion. So if you've been with me since the beginning of me starting this channel, which is a little over a year old at this time of recording this video, I started off doing, I wasn't even showing my face on the channel. I started off doing ASMR videos based in the foundation of quantum human design. And I really wanted to start doing that because it was something that I basically went and created the thing that I wish that was out there that I didn't find or at least see anybody else doing. And there has been a lot of change, a lot of transition, a lot of transformation over this year, as long as we're alive. That's typically always what's happening. And this I'm in a season of my life, particularly my Uranus opposition. If you're in the ages between 38 and 44, then you know what I'm talking about. I mean, we have these major life cycles on the timeline of our life, Saturn return being the first major life cycle, and then our Uranus oppositions. And we have a solar return every year, and it's just an opportunity in these kind of life cycles for assistance and support from the planets. And sometimes it comes in a cosmic 2x4, as we say. And it doesn't always necessarily have to be bad things or challenging things or hard things or super, jumping over obstacle things, but it is an opportunity for a heightened awareness, a spotlight on this particular time in our life for major growth and not resisting that natural evolution helps us to find more grace and more ease in the change and the transitioning and the transformation and the transmutation that takes place during these major life cycles. And it's an opportunity for us to become more aligned, with our soul and our soul's calling, with the purpose and mission of why we're here, incarnated on the planet. It's an opportunity to reassess and reevaluate the choices, the decisions, what we've created in our life. And so it's been a very interesting time. And so if you find yourself in these major life cycles, or if you've even gone beyond those, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And we dive more into that in quantum human design when we're looking at charts and we're looking at the themes that these cycles are specifically bringing to your natal chart and so forth. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. I just wanted to say that there has been a lot for me being in this Uranus opposition that has changed and transformed, a lot of healing, a lot of new things being brought to the surface. And normally those who aren't creating anything, or those who aren't, sharing themselves on social media, all this stuff happens every day in everybody's lives. And it's just behind the scenes, and it's not necessarily talked or seen or shared about. And I've felt called to continually show up and to post here on the channel and allow myself permission to grow and evolve, even not knowing what that looked like. And that's how I live my life. I live my life in the ebb and flow of following what feels good, right, and correct for me. And I'm not saying I always get that perfect or right, but if I've pivoted, or or that comes to my awareness, then I allow myself that course correction and grace to get back into the alignment and continue to move forward. And so even just looking back, which is fun to do at the end of the year before you're entering a new one, to look back in the year and review and to see the growth and to reflect and look at all of the changes and everything we've been through, and contemplate and meditate on what worked, what didn't work, what felt good, what didn't feel good, what we may want to continue and move forward with into this next phase, chapter, level, new year, all of it. And so I started out this channel doing ASMR quantum human design. Quantum human design is kind of laced into the foundation of anything and everything I do. It's just something I go back to with having the knowledge of the dynamics and the elements of design and how that plays out in our everyday life. It's kind of like the foundational thing that is easily interwoven into everything that I do, no matter what kind of practice or tool or modality that it is, because it shows us the gates of life, the gates of like what we experience as humans, just kind of these archetypes. It puts a language to the energy mechanics of how we operate in form. It's not who we are, but it explains a lot of how we operate and how we interact, how we're wired. So individually, as it shows us that energy blueprint, and then also how that plays out in our relationships, how we're affected, collectively by the planets transiting through these gates, activating these archetypes. And so it's kind of interwoven into everything that I do. And I started out doing ASMR quantum human design because it was something that I desired to have at the time. Didn't see it, couldn't find it, so I created it. And in the natural growth of just showing up and doing the thing, recording videos every week, I started off not even showing my face, wasn't even sure like how long I would do it or where it would go. I just allowed myself and gave myself the permission to do. And I said, I'm not going to force myself to create something if I no longer find joy or feel led to continue to do it. I have to have like a full sacral, yes, behind something that I do. Otherwise, I just don't have the energy, the passion, the desire to do it. And I'm not going to force myself to continue to do something because that doesn't feel aligned for me. So with that, I allow myself the experience to go through the process and the journey. And eventually it felt right to show my face. So showing up and having that consistency every week naturally, progressively, organically, and authentically evolved into, okay, well, I think, I'm filming from here down. I feel like I just want to film so that I can see my face. And I was inspired to try different things and do different things. And sometimes we start out doing something. And actually, this has been my experience in a lot of the things that I have done. And some may say, oh, that's just a part of your Gemini stellium, or the fact that you're a time bender manifesting generator and in human design, and that's your energy type. And so you're going to, have all these different things that you do. And may not necessarily stick to something long term, but I would say that there's a lot of things that I've stuck with for the long term. And then there's also a lot of things that I feel and believe are the catalyst to that next thing. And so it's only a season and it doesn't last forever. Or I might circle back around, I do that thing and then I might circle back around 6 months, a year, 6 years later, who knows, and pick that up and start and run with it again. The point is to always honor the growth and the evolution and not try to make it fit or look a certain way or force something. And as I've allowed myself to continue to show up and do the thing, it has evolved and grown over the length of this channel into I feel complete with the whole ASMR quantum human design component, at least for now. And I've kind of used whatever message wanted to come through. I allowed myself to create that. And that's noticeable over the time of the transition of the channel and the videos and the things that I've developed and created. And again, I'm still using a lot of the same tools. It's just the output and the way that videos are getting created just look a little bit different from how the channel started out. But my intention was always and has always been and has continued to be, even though the way that the videos have been produced have changed over the course of the channel. It's always been to share what I am seeing, to transmit the message and whatever I felt was coming through for those of that would find this video, or this video would find them at just the right time, as the universe does, as those synchronicities happen, and allow myself just to continue to show up and to be the vessel, the conduit, to transmit whatever that was, to share what I am seeing, what I am hearing, and also to share if it was, messages through a card or messages being channeled or whatever it was. And there, also the energy dynamics with quantum human design pretty much interwoven and the base, the foundation for which kind of everything is built upon. And for you to have a space where you might just hear something that you needed to hear, or that you felt seen, loved, heard, understood, that you maybe heard something that opened your mind or awareness into another way of thinking, a different perspective, or that felt like permission or a safe place to expand and to just use whatever tools that I'm particularly sharing in the video or whatever it is, to allow yourself to embody your fullest human potential and your fullest divine potential, that this would just be a portal for that. And I honestly don't know what that looks like moving forward, or what I'm going to feel inspired to create or to share. But I am grateful for you, and I'm grateful for this space. I'm grateful if you've been with me from the beginning and kind of stuck with me through whatever transition and transformation the channel has gone. And then I also understand those who were like, this started out as one thing and it's not that, and wanted to unsubscribe. I completely understand and respect that. So again, I don't know what this will necessarily look like going forward. I know that the premise, the basis, the foundation will always be the same, but just the way that gets expressed may look a little bit different. And that just feels really appropriate for how I live my life, and staying present, and like not needing to have everything known or figured out, because we don't, even though we try, and no one really knows anything or has anything figured out, regardless of what it looks like. And if you're a creator and you're wanting to create and something is holding you back, because you think you have to follow some kind of formula or fit into a box, or you maybe are afraid to be judged or ridiculed, or because you might change your mind or change direction. I would just encourage you to not let that stop you. Just be you, be yourself, show up. Especially if you have this passion and you're feeling called to create something, I wouldn't let any of that stop you, because we're not for everyone, but we are for someone. And I'm not for everyone, but I am for someone. You're not for everyone, but you are for someone. And that just, you very well could have the thing, the voice, the frequency, the tone, the octave, the message in the way that only you can articulate it, that someone is so desperately needing to hear that they don't even know that they need to hear it until they hear it. And you're the messenger. If you're feeling that call, and if you're feeling that pull, then I would encourage you to not hold yourself back, to let yourself be seen, to let your voice be heard. And please don't fall into the trap of, I have to have it all figured out. Because I feel like those who, honestly, and I don't mean any offense by this, but those who think they have it all together or look like they have it all together, if one, they may be fooling themselves and to this false sense of confidence and security that they have it all figured out and they have it all together, but no one really does. I think we're all flying by the seat of our pants in this human journey, literally taking it one day at a time. And the more you human, the more you are just like, I don't know, you have not, the older you get, the more you realize I have nothing figured out. I don't know anything. And you just keep showing up and you're just doing the best you can. Like, everyone's just doing the best that they can. And I think that if you don't think that that's you just flying by the seat of your pants doing the best that you can, then maybe you're fooling yourself into this false sense of security that you have it all figured out, because that's like making you feel better. But there's just no way that we can. What's the point? Like, that's the point of having this experience of taking day by day. If we had it all figured out, like, what would be the point of even being here? And I think sometimes that can give us such anxiety and give us so much fear and anxiety of like, I don't have the next 10 steps. And I'm a fourth line in human design. Like, I love certainty, stability, moving from one foundation to the next. Like, fourth lines don't like uncertainty. I mean, most humans don't, right? We like the known, the familiar, it's comfortable. But that's not actually like our reality. And that's part of the fun for the human experience of just getting to kind of figure it out as you go. And I'm not saying, like, don't take this to the extreme. Like, don't ever have a plan, don't have goals. Like, yes, have a plan. Yes, have goals. But you have to realize just the dance that we do between like knowing and being certain and just not knowing anything, just flying by the seat of our pants. Like, it is a constant weaving of that. It's a constant dance. It's a constant ebb and flow. And so for me specifically too, because I like consistency. My earth is in gate 5, the gate of consistency. I like stability, consistency, certainty, to know. It's weird because there's part of me that likes to have things planned and known, but then there's the other part of me that's like, yeah, I like to have things planned, but not too planned. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I like to know, I want to make plans, but not too far in advance. Or it's just this like, there's no perfect little formula. And I get that. I get both sides of the coin. And something that I'm personally continuing to be reminded of, especially as of late, is, the saying that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And you're like, ugh, how cheesy. And like, yeah, blah, blah. But it's so true. And it's funny because you hear things over and over for like a lifetime or years. And then all of a sudden it just like lands in a different way for you. And I just want to encourage you, if that's you, if you're holding yourself back because of like a long list of reasons of why you can't do something or why something won't work, I just encourage you to throw out that list. And if you're so focused on the end goal or the destination of something, God, you're missing out on the experience and the whole point of the journey. It's not the destination. And I feel like for whatever reason, that's super prevalent right now for me. And that's why I'm sharing that with you. Focusing on, there's so many principles in that, because focusing on what we don't have, like we want to get to the destination, this thing, whether it be a certain number in your bank account, a certain job, a certain project you want to accomplish, a certain place you want to live, a certain house, whatever it is that you have a dream of or a goal of, that's great. I'm not saying don't have dreams, don't have goals. But if we're so focused on the end, what are we missing out on through the journey of getting there? And like, do you even believe that you can get there? And honestly, this has been something just floating around in my awareness more and more. And I just saw something this morning, actually, on IG. It was that said something, and I don't know whose account it was on or where it was, but it said, the doors haven't opened for you yet because you're still becoming the version of yourself that you need to be when that door opens. And again, that's part of that's part of the journey rather than the destination. And focusing on, so number one, if we focus on just the end, what we don't have, and we're not there yet, and this, that, and the other thing, we're missing all of the whole point of the growth and the evolution on the journey. We're more in the energy of what we don't have versus what we want, and therefore we're not that vibrational match for that thing. So if we can just, and also doing that puts us in a state of worry or fear or anxiety because we're in the future versus being present, being here now. And why do we do that to ourselves? So I just encourage you, if this resonates, leave me an eyeball emoji. Let me know in the comments. And if you find yourself in this place as well. And so this is just my invitation to you to stop making excuses and lists of things that you can't do and why you can't do them and why it won't work. If you're feeling called to create something and do something or to show up, whatever that looks like, maybe it's start a podcast, maybe it's start your own YouTube channel, maybe it's to collaborate on a project with somebody, maybe it's to host an event, like whatever it is, if you're feeling that call of your soul to step forward and take the leap of faith to do the thing, and you only have one, like you're like, I don't know, I'm going to say yes to this, or I'm going to start this and I have no idea what I'm doing and I don't know where it's going to go, then good. Like that's a great place to be, because you'll get the next step. You'll get the next thing. You'll get the next knowing. And so I would just encourage you to don't let anything hold you back from showing up how you want to show up, from being who you want to be. Because every little part is like a piece of the puzzle. It's just another little component that's just building you and in your evolvement of the truth of who you are is becoming more and more as you embody that, as you grow, as you learn. And so with sharing all of this, I want to say one more thing before we go into our Sankalpa, our word of the year, and what that means. I just want to say that, actually two things. One, if you have any questions for me or suggestions of what you would like to see here on the channel, I have a lot of ideas, but I do love to respond to things as a defined sacral being. I'm designed to respond. It just feels more in flow when I have something to respond to. So if you have any questions or suggestions for what you feel would support you, what would be of most value to you here on the channel, please let me know. Or if you've been a subscriber or follower or watcher of the channel for a while, maybe you can share with me what's been most helpful or beneficial to you, most of what's felt of most value to you throughout whatever videos you've watched and seen. And lastly, again, before we go into the Sankalpa, I want to say that, as I was saying before, about how I know that I'm not for everyone, I'm not meant to be, but I am for someone. You're not for everyone, but you are for someone. And that's just by grand design. I'm really grateful for the people that I specifically follow on social media or on YouTube, or that I don't have a lot of people that I keep myself open to. I'm very intentional and very specific about who I listen to, what I'm reading, what, I'm following, what I let in. I'm very specific and very intentional, and I've always been that way. And I don't just take in everything from everyone and all that. I'm very conscious and aware and specific with those I'm in resonance with, and what I'm listening to, and when I'm listening or when I'm reading. All of that is very intentional. Even my, my screen time and all of that. And this is an encouragement for you if you're feeling called and led to start something, or if you started something and you stopped doing it because of whatever reason. I'm encouraging you to either start the thing or to go pick back up the thing that you left. Maybe you started a YouTube channel and you haven't posted a video in 6 months. Maybe you started a podcast and you haven't made an episode in 3 months. Or maybe you want to start a podcast or a YouTube channel. I encourage you. It's really something else that I've been contemplating on is I'm so grateful for the people who have continued to show up. There's been people that I have been a listener to or subscriber to or reader of for years. And when I think about how I know there's been days for them when they're like, "Ugh, I don't feel like making this video," or, "Oh, I don't want to make this content," or they're in a really hard, difficult, challenging growth, transition, transmutation cycle in their life, and they may not want to show up and share. That's the beauty of batch content, by the way, creating batch content, because then you have content, you can, for weeks or months or whatever, and you can go through all the lifey things, whatever they are, and still have that consistency of showing up in the world. But I'm super grateful for those people because in me, I have been feeling that. And I am one who will batch create some content and plan ahead, just because I know being an emotionally defined being in human design, I have high highs and low lows with my energy. I have also a defined root, so I know that there's days I'm just wah, wah, wah. I'm feeling super, super low, and I just need to honor that. And then when I do honor that, and maybe 1, 2, 3 days, and then boom, everything's back on, and I'm full force, full flow energy, and I can create, 3 weeks worth of stuff because I gave myself 3 days off to just honor my energy and honor that, that lower energy component. So if that's you, I guess what I'm really encouraging you to do is to not completely disappear. Because I think about, and I guess that's why in the back of my mind, that's one of the reasons why I haven't let myself fully disappear, and I've allowed myself to continue to show up and to create content, whatever that looks like, however it comes out, however it was feeling aligned. And not only when I felt like I need to turn the camera on and I need to create this, and not in a force. I would never force myself to do that. But because I'm grateful for the people that have been consistent and that show up, because when I was feeling in that space, or whenever I am, it's a constant thing. It's not just I was, going through a really challenging time and never, I'm through it now and never going to go through that again. That's part of the human experience. It's part of the human journey. to have these ups and downs, and life's roller coaster, as we know, right? So during the times when we need the support, when we need to hear an encouraging word, to be reminded of what we have, what we know, but we've forgotten, I'm grateful that there's a book I can pick up, a video I can turn on, a channel I can go to, like someone's, account where they've just posted something that I know that I can go to receive probably the exact message that I need to hear in that moment. Or even, of course I have real life people in my life that I could text as well, or send a message to, or call, or whatever, or go spend time with. But sometimes it's just a matter of, I'm so glad that they posted this podcast today, because this was the exact message that I needed to hear. And I think to myself, what if they kept themselves hidden, or they disappeared? And sometimes we need to do that and retreat and honor that. But there's a time and a place for all of that. But what if they just stopped and gave up because they thought that it wasn't making a difference, or no one really cared, or it was just like they questioning why they were doing anything that they were doing, and then they just stopped showing up? Like, there's certain people I would be so, like, if they did decide that, of course, you do you, honor that, but I would be like, oh my gosh, what a loss. Like, what a loss that would be to my life, to my spiritual growth and journey and evolution, to what I feel like positively influences and enhances my human experience, because just what they speak and their experiences that they share, I would feel like, oh, that's such a loss. That's so unfortunate. It's so devastating. Like, man, they were so impactful and so influential, and those people don't know that I even exist, but they have made such a huge impact on my life. And I'm really grateful for them, and I'm grateful for their consistency, and I'm grateful for them showing up. And they may never know throughout, pick anybody throughout my whole, life experience and journey on this path. If you pick any of those people, and I kind of go through cycles of like, oh, I've listened to this person or watched this spiritual teacher or whatever it is, or I've read this person's work, and then I kind of like go and like, oh, I haven't watched anything or heard anything from them in like years. And then they'll come back into my sphere. Or maybe that was just my little season with them and it's complete. Whichever way, I'm grateful for every single person who has shared their voice, shared their stories, stepped up, spoken up, created the thing. And especially in these cycles of life, again, coming back to just my whole life cycle that I'm right now with my Uranus opposition and all of that it's brought me through the moments and cycles of death and rebirths, especially just the internal deaths and rebirths that happen on a continuous basis. That cycle and those moments where you're having existential crises and like you're like questioning everything. I'm so grateful for the people who keep showing up, and I just kept hearing, like, what if they stopped showing up? How would I feel? And I'm not comparing myself to them by saying, oh, what if I stopped showing up? How would other people feel? Because I honestly don't know if that would make a difference or not, but because that's not the point. I feel like those people and the people that show up to do things start off with, I would do this even if, like, they're doing it for themselves in a way. And so those people who continue to show up, especially, there's probably, if they don't have a big following or they're not getting feedback, they may just be doing it for themselves. And I know for me, a large part of my consistency and continuation of showing up has been, a lot of times I will after I'll record something, I will even go back like weeks or months later And it will, something that came through in the transmission and the message and the channel was something that I needed to hear in that moment. And so I'm like, oh, past me, seemingly, right? Past me had a message for future me right now in the present time. And it's really cool how that works out. So do it for yourself. Like, create the thing, continue to show up, go back to the thing you let fall to the side, but have been thinking about picking back up. Do it for the future you that will be the present you. And in turn, ultimately, that's going to be for somebody else. It's going to provide some value or insight or support or help or encouragement or whatever for someone else, ultimately. But that doesn't need to be your reason or your why for showing up. It can just be because this is what I need for me in the moment. And hopefully it helps somebody else too. And hopefully somebody else resonates. And hopefully somebody else finds value in it. But there is something in it that I know that I need to continue to do this for me, for my growth, for my evolution. And in hindsight, most of all of this will make sense and the dots will all connect. And you just got to trust in the process and the journey in the moment and know that you're not going to have it all figured out. Nobody does. And so enjoy the journey. Okay, so Sankalpa is a Sanskrit word for basically a word of the year, a theme. And in 2019, this dropped in for me as a practice that I've now done since. And I just kind of ask Spirit, my guides, angels, my soul, my higher self, what is my word for the year? What is my word for 2025? And I kind of ask towards the end of the year. And then what's fun to do is about every quarter of the year, I check in. But I put the word up on like this visual board of things that I want to have in my site. It's actually right behind the camera over there. I could see it from here. And I put up the word. Usually the word is accompanied by a sentence or a phrase or a quote or something that goes along with it that I just allow. I start to ask in November of the year and just allow the word to drop in. And then throughout November, December, I usually get confirmation and I'll hear the word over and over and over by all different types of sources. And then I'm like, that's definitely my word. So, and then, like I said, throughout the year, like every quarter or so, I'll check in and be like, how's this word, this theme, how's this playing out in my life? And what am I noticing that is kind of flowing around this whole energy of this archetype of this word? And it's a great practice and exercise, just kind of contemplate and meditate on. So in 2019, again, and it's nothing fancy, I just write this on whatever piece of paper. This is just stapled to a piece of paper in 2019. So we'll just go through. If this resonates with you, I encourage you to ask your guides, ask God, ask Spirit, whatever, however, whoever, ask yourself, what is your word for 2025? And to jot that down. If anything comes, if you hear something, or if you start seeing a word over and over, or hearing a word over and over, and just explore. And if you do this practice already, let me know. Do you have a word yet? Do you have your Sankalpa for 2025? And you can let me know in the comments what your word is. And just going through briefly, again, since I've been doing this since 2019, and just showing you my words for the year and what that's kind of looked like for me. In 2019, it was blossom. It says 2019 is where your deepest soul's essence and highest life purposes emerge in awareness with synchronistic support from the universe to bring your dreams to life. And so that was 2019. In 2020, it was together. That's funny because I didn't, that came to me before all the lockdowns happened. Little did I know, because my higher self knew. It says, my thoughts, beliefs, and actions lay the template for what's to come. My faith is my power, and I surrender to the infinite abundance that is life, and I trust. That was 2020, together. 2021 was faith. Faith stabilizes everything. This is a quote from Karen Curry Parker. faith stabilizes everything. Faith gives us the power to face potential emotional volatility and to trust that we can slice through the intensity, bringing harmony to situations that feel unstable while we keep the big picture in mind. We must endure even if we are in unfamiliar territory, questioning our definition of momentum and progress. Always trust that there is a bigger story unfolding. And then when I practice self-care and stay in energetic alignment, I am powerful and strong. So 2021 was faith. 2022 was courage. Courage says, I breathe in courage and I exhale fear. I am courageous and willing to explore what needs to be released, healed, and aligned for me to let go of past limitations, hurts, traumas, and pain in order for me to align with a new reality, a reality that is in authentic alignment with who I am. Then 2023 was growth. Growth. I won't read this whole thing. But there was definitely a lot of growth in 2023. And we are right now being called forth to make a big jump. We are all intended to be here on earth at this time to be midwives to this process. We are here to grow. The true purpose of God and the nature of God is growth. God is always seeking through us to expand and grow. So there's more to that. But in 2024 was strength. Strength. It's the tarot, the Light Seers tarot deck, the strength card. Human strength at a new level of soul. And as this is the last video I'm posting on the channel for 2024, and I'm looking back throughout the year, I can see how the theme of strength was interwoven in every single thing in my life throughout this entire year. And so this whole message here is just the message from the Light Seers tarot deck, or the strength card. I deliberately shine my compassion and strength. And so, last but not least, for 2025, the word that dropped in for me, that's confirmed for me, is silence. Silence. And I was like, really? Silence? What? But yeah, intentional silence to listen and be fully present. Intentional silence to listen and be fully present. And that's even being present with just the people in my life, even my dogs, like just fully being present. So less doing, less talking, more listening, more being. Silence. And seeing what more things I'm able to hear by being intentionally silent. As the answers that we seek are within, but we forget and think everything is outside of us. So with that, love, let me know if any of this resonated. You can share in the comments, leave me an eyeball emoji. Again, ask any questions that you have or feedback or things that you feel like you would like support with or need support with. And we'll see where this goes in the new year. And let me know if you have your Sankalpa, your Sankalpa, your word for 2025. You can leave that in the comments as well. Again, I appreciate you and your support for being here, for being who you are in the world. I hope you know that you're not alone. And I just encourage you to be more of who you are. And I hope that you feel safe and seen and loved and supported to be able to do that, especially more and more in the coming year, as I believe you're here for such a great purpose, on purpose, and the world needs you. Whatever gifts that you have or creations that are wanting to be birthed through you, the world needs you, or else you wouldn't be here. You're so valuable. You're so important. You are so loved. And I'll see you in the next video.